I also think it depends on what terrifies you in general. So clowns terrify me. Books with clowns always frighten me. Porcelain.
Okay, I'm here with my first update for the story. I didn't have time to film a first clip sooner, so yeah, I'm like almost halfway through the book now, and that is a good sign. Like, the book isn't too long. I think it has 350 pages or something like this, and I'm on page 160 something. So it's very fast paced, very addicting for sure. It says on some quote on here as well, right here by Jonathan Marbury. He mentions it, a novel that you absolutely cannot put down, and I would agree with that for sure. It's so interesting, so thrilling in writing style, but it also has a lot of descriptions and different perspectives even in there, which is perfect. So we start with reading about this. Wait a second. Right here, part 1 starts, called The Hungry Man, and we follow the hungry man for the first part. And he is getting to this island on the cover here, and there is a troop doing some camping stuff that they do every year. Over the course of the book, we also follow those people. So there's a scoutmaster named Tim, and then all the boys in the troop were on there as well. I think these are like 6 boys, 5 or 6 boys, something like that. I think it doesn't mention in here, and I sometimes forget some of the names, so yeah, no, but it's a lot of boys for sure. They are all around 14 years old, so we have some teenage stuff going on, and we also read from their perspective, not just from Tim's. So if you don't like to read about boys in puberty, I don't recommend picking up this book, because there's a lot of stuff that boys will talk about, I guess, in that age. But yeah, the horror so far is really, really good. I had high expectations for sure. I have it in my 5-star predictions, I think. So far it's between 4 and 5 stars, but yeah, I would be willing to give it 5 stars if it keeps on getting better, as it does so far. So the atmosphere is really, really good, writing style is good, perspectives are interesting, the plot is really, really nice, and yeah, I don't know what else to say. Like, we have this hungry man getting there, and oh yeah, he's hungry. He's hungry. Yeah, I mean, stuff is happening. It says on the synopsis, but I think I don't know, it's best to not know it. Like, this last line, I'm not gonna read it out. If you're curious, you can read it for sure. Read the whole synopsis if you want to. But yeah, this is basically everything I like in horror. It is disgusting, love that. It's extreme, which also says that it is disgusting for me in my horror dictionary. And we have focus on survival for sure. We have a mixture of just horror and science fiction in here, which I also very much love. And we have just this one place that is focused on. It's all about this island, which I also love in books. So we have some exploration as well in there, which is nice. And I don't know, it's just perfect so far. Like, in the beginning it takes a while to get the horror started, but once you're there, oh, it's happening for sure. There's a lot of horror in here. We also have a lot of mixed media in between chapters. So there are news articles in there, we have some interviews going on, and some documents that were supposedly found on this island that we can read, just to learn more about the backstory of some of the characters and also the horror going on. So that was cool, and yeah, I'm just excited to read more. So we have some kind of virus going on there, and yeah, I mean, these people just have to try to survive. So yeah, I don't want to compare it to a Stephen King book, but if I didn't know, I could see Stephen King writing something like this in his prominent horror days. So yeah, if you like his horror, this could be perfect as well. But I mean, Nick Cutter is well known at this point. So yeah, we also have a lot of animal cruelty in here, which I think everyone also mentions. So if you don't want to read about that, I don't know, look further into that if you feel confident about reading this book, because there's a lot of stuff in there. There was one scene in particular between chapter 20 and 21. There was some kind of document interview style thing, which even I think was very disgusting, and it like didn't trigger me in any way. I don't have any triggers, but it affected me tremendously. Like, I had to pause the book for a few minutes because it was a lot to read about that. It's about a chimpanzee. So yeah, I don't want to tell you anything more, but that was scary, really. So yeah, I warned you now. And that's just like not even half of the book, and so much going on already. It's nice. I would love to see an adaptation of it, but I don't know if that's even possible. Like, some of the scenes are they are just very disturbing. I don't know if there is any possibility of it adaptating it. Like, showing some of that stuff would be crazy. But yeah, love it so far, and I already want to read all of his other books, Little Heaven and The Deep. Oh my god, I'm so excited for The Deep already. And I'm not even done, but yeah, this is the first book of my horror Halloween October reading list, whatever. So yeah, hope to read a lot more. I think this update was much longer than I wanted it to be. So sorry for that, but yeah, I think for the next half of the book I can't really talk about it in detail because I don't want to spoil anything. I didn't know anything about it going into it, except there's animal cruelty and it's about a troop that are camping in the wilderness. That's it. I think that's enough for you to know, like, maybe the horror and science fiction mix, sure. But it's just nice going into horror books not knowing anything. It's so much more shocking and entertaining that way. So yeah, I'm loving it so far. Hope to love it even more in the next 200-ish pages. Oh yeah, and what I didn't talk about was, like, there's just one minor thing that you could say would be something that I don't love as much. It's that it has a lot of obvious foreshadowing in there, but it's alright. I think you know where the plot is going when you read the book at all times. Not at all times, but at most times, but there's still enough room for speculation and just shocking stuff that is happening. So yeah, we also learn a lot about the characters so that we get emotionally attached. Yay! I'm not looking forward to seeing some characters die, maybe, so yeah. Because I don't know how to say it. It's not like I love the characters, but you learn about their lives and their struggles and their thoughts. So yeah, going to be interesting if something happens to them. And yeah, on here we have an example for the news report stuff. Is there anything else that I can show you? Yeah, I mean, that's quite similar as well, but as I've said, there's interviews, there's documents like written texts from the boys in there, something that they wrote in school, for example. So yeah, really, really interesting. Yeah, so I finished The Droop by Nick Cutter, and it's been a few days since I updated you, and I got a cold. So yeah, you might hear it in my voice, and I also cried multiple times while reading this book, 3 times in total, so that doesn't help with my voice at all. Yeah, I'm kind of conflicted because it is very predictable because of all the foreshadowing in between the chapters with all the interviews and documents. You just know what will happen next, and you also know almost everything about the ending. Like, there is some foreshadowing about how many people, or if any of the people on this island will survive, and there's a hint at who would be most likely to survive. Let's just put it that way. And it's just obvious who that person is supposed to be. So yeah, that's the only thing I didn't like about the book. It's just too predictable for me, but everything else was really, really good. And in the second half, the shocking or disturbing scenes weren't as effective as in the first half for me personally. They just repeated themselves a little bit, and I think they could have been even more disturbing in some aspects. I was hoping for some more cannibalism, as mentioned in some of the in-between documents. But yeah, it didn't happen. I hope that it's not a spoiler. So yeah, I don't want to say that this is not disturbing. It is. But I don't know, the in-between stuff was more shocking to me personally than what actually happened on the island. But that said, I did cry 3 times, so I did feel for the characters. I loved most of these boys, and it was just so fucking sad if any of them died. So yeah, cried 3 times, cried for multiple pages at the end of the book, really. I don't know why, I really don't know. But it kind of affected me. So yeah, there's that, and then in the second half of the book there's also a lot of self-mutilation, self-harm. So yeah, that was intense for sure. So yeah, don't know what else to say. I really, really enjoyed it. Because of my emotional outbursts, really, I will give it 5 stars. Without it, it would be a solid 4-star book. It was very entertaining and very thrilling. You really can't put the book down once you get into it. Just a bit predictable, but that's fine. Really excited for something else that Nick Cutter wrote, and really excited to read my next horror book. But first I will do some other stuff. I have to wrap up all the presents. I'm talking about my advent calendar. Every year my mum and I buy ourselves something from a wish list. Most of these are books, but also other things that we're just interested in, like board games, for example, or just useful household stuff, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, we put them in a present and put a number on that present and a little drawing as a guessing game of what could be inside. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun last year, so we wanted to repeat it, and yeah, I ordered all the stuff and got most of it now, so yeah, just wanted to wrap it all up. It'll have to stay for the next few months, really. And yeah, that's what I'll do now, and then I'll pick up the next horror book, which will probably be more of a thriller or a gothic classic, just because I need something else that is not disgusting right now. And yeah, I'll see you then.
More carrots. Don't tear it. More carrots. Where's Garrett?
Vegetables. Vegetables.
Here I come from the west side. The left side. The right brain drives me insane. Don't lie, don't lie, don't lie to me. Don't fry, don't fry, don't fry your brain. More carrots. Don't tear it. More carrots. Where's Garrett?
Vegetables. Vegetables.
Here I come from the west side. The left side. The right brain drives me insane. Don't lie, don't lie, don't lie to me. Don't fry, don't fry, don't fry your brain.
Well, it's been a lot of days later, and as you probably can still hear, I got really sick. I'm still sick, but it's like hopefully almost over, so yeah, I hope I'm not jinxing myself and getting worse after that. But I just have to do an update. The month of October is almost done. It's just one more day until Halloween, so I just need to update you on what I've been reading, because yeah, as you've seen, I have been reading quite a lot in these last days while I was sick. If anyone's curious, I got laryngitis, yay. But yeah, now after a week roughly, it's going better, so that's a good sign. And yeah, I do feel very good. It's just that my voice is still very hoarse, but that's the only thing that's bothering me now. I don't have to cough anymore. I don't have any fever or anything else. Just my voice that needs to get back a little more. So yeah, couldn't talk at all the last few days, just whispering a little bit, but that sounded awkward. So yeah, didn't record anything. But here I am, so I finished these 2 books, and I read almost half of this one. So let's see. My Sister, the Serial Killer by this author. I have no idea if I updated you on it at all. It's quite literary with a few thriller aspects in there, so I did enjoy it. I gave it, I think, 3 stars, something like that. So it wasn't bad at all, just not what I was expecting when I wanted to pick up a lot of horror books, but that's all part on me, not the book's fault at all. And I loved the atmosphere and the writing style. That was really good in this one, and also the setting, all the Nigerian culture and the daily life of our main characters and the relationship between the sisters, and also just the hospital job. That was all very interesting. I think I loved all the phrases and words that were in the original language in here. I googled a lot just to know how something looked like or what was meant when talking about just words that I have no idea of. But that was cool, especially the food was very interesting to learn about. And plot-wise, it was very good as well, especially the ending. That was really nice, not what I was expecting at all. So there was just a little tiny twist in there, you could say, but it makes perfect sense to end that way. Yeah, I mean, the whole stuff about finding out your sister is a serial killer, it's really cool. And yeah, I don't want to spoil anything. It's just a little bit too literary for me. I would have loved to have more thrilling aspects in there. But other than that, very nice read. I'm also interested in her other book, The Baby Is Mine, or something like that. Sounds like a really cool plot as well. I can recommend it, but it's not amazing. And then next up, What Moves the Dead, with this amazing cover that I just really love, by T. Kingfisher, which is my first T. Kingfisher book, I think. And this is just a very short novella with, I think, 160 pages or something like that. It's really not a lot, and it's a retelling of The Fall of the House of Usher by Edgar Allan Poe, which is a classic that I've read multiple times by now, and it's super short. So having 100 pages of it was really nice, because in the original tale you don't really get any explanations on what is going on, why it's going on, what are the characters thinking, and so on. So that was nice. And there's also a lot of stuff about characters' backstories, like what happens before the original classic tale starts, and also some stuff afterwards. And there's also a sequel, so I don't know if that's based on anything or if it's just highly original and just expands on the world and the characters even more. But I did really enjoy it. I gave it 4 stars. It was really good. Again, atmosphere was perfect. It really felt like reading the story again, but in a fresh, modern way, with so many more details and interesting facts, interesting twists even. I loved T. Kingfisher's twist and explanation on what is going on there, why are the people acting as they are in the classic story. So that was really cool. I mean, there are some hints on the cover, but it's just very cool. At the same time, while I was reading this book, I was also watching the horror movie Gaia, and it had a similar twist in it, which is so coincidental, but yeah, that was just very nice to see, and I just love that kind of stuff. And yeah, what else to say? I don't know. I loved how T. Kingfisher still has the most important stuff from Poe's story in here, so that you can feel right at home when you start the book, and it just has so much more in it that it's very original and doesn't feel repetitive at all. If you know Poe's story in and out, this is still highly recommended. Like, this is a very good story. I'm so excited to pick up more T. Kingfisher books now. I think I have Nettle and Bone somewhere here, and I've heard super amazing things about that as well. So yeah, really glad that I finally read it. Also excited for the sequel. Well, anyways, finished those really good books, and then I started The Haunting of Hill House. I don't know, after reading What Moves the Dead, I was feeling some classic horror. So yeah, this is by Shirley Jackson, and it was written in the 19 somethings. No idea when exactly. So yeah, a bit old, but the parts that I've read don't feel, I don't know, old in any way. It's a really good writing style, and I flew through the first 80 or 90 pages that I've read so far. And I mean, this is also kind of similar. It's a gothic story with a haunted house in here, and some strangers that are meeting in there, and just basically having this one setting of this house. This is my first novel by Shirley Jackson that I'm reading. I've only read The Lottery before, which I loved. It's such a good short story. If you've never read it, check out The Lottery. It's probably free online somewhere. It's so good. And so far this is good as well. I haven't heard the best things about it, but it's good so far. Although nothing much has happened, I think it's interesting somehow. I really think that the characters are very interesting, very weird. Like, at the beginning they were just interesting and well written, and now they start to become just super weird. They all act like very weird children, and they make weird jokes, I think, but they all have the same weird humor. And there were some scenes in it that felt almost Alice in Wonderland like there was a rabbit scene in here which very much felt like the beginning of Alice in Wonderland. And it's funny that I read this scene after reading this book, which is also featuring some weird fucking hares. Not rabbits in that one, but similar enough, I think. And yeah, I mean, I think everyone knows about the story now. I'm really excited to see some adaptations after having finished it, and to also read the introductions, because I don't want to get spoiled. Introductions almost always spoil. So yeah, but they help after having read the book with understanding it more. So yeah, really excited to see where this is going. The house is really creepy so far. Like, nothing has happened, but I just love how the author makes us feel this creepy atmosphere just because the characters are experiencing it. It's very well written for sure. So yeah, excited to see if anything will happen or if it's just very atmospheric, psychological, and not a lot about action or gore. I'm not expecting it really because I didn't hear best things. I was going into it just having a atmospheric read with not much going on really. And so far, it's not disappointing at all. Like, after almost half of the book, it's just been about these characters receiving letters from this guy who wants to invite them to this house, which he has rented for a few days, I guess, and to be there for a few nights and see if it's haunted or not, if there's anything creepy going on. These are all strangers, they don't know each other at all, and yeah, 2 people answered and they are going there now. And then we also have someone who is from the family who owns this house. So yeah, got these 4 people in there, and the rooms are really weird. Like, first of all, the house seems to be very labyrinthian, like it's very big, has a lot of very tiny rooms, and you get lost in it very quickly. And then also there are rooms that are dedicated to just one color. Like, 2 of the women that are spending the time there have a blue room where they sleep in, and the other has a green room. Like, that's kind of weird. And then the guys, the other 2 people are guys, they have a yellow and a pink room. It's a weird concept, but it's kind of cool as well. So yeah, so far they've just all arrived there, introduced themselves, explored a little and talked, had their first dinner, and now they all went to sleep. So yeah, not sure if there's anything going on in the first night or if it just switches to the first real day in there, but yeah. So far, after almost half of the book, that's all that has happened, but again, it's written very well in very much detail. Just the whole journey to the house was very interesting as well. So yeah, really excited to learn more. Alrighty, I just finished The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson, and it was okay. Like, the middle of the book was really interesting, maybe the best part, where they are just exploring the house, learning more about the architecture of the house, the past of the house. That was really cool. It had some House of Leaves vibes, just a little bit, in terms of, well, just how the house is built, I guess. So yeah, I liked that. And then the last third of the book, roughly, was just about these people in there talking. And that's basically it. Like, nothing really happened. It's very similar to The Turn of the Screw, where there's just a lot of talking and not knowing what's going on. Supernatural stuff, maybe. Psychological stuff, maybe. Just ambiguous stuff and no real answers to anything. Not really anything amazing going on that is very exciting or gruesome or creepy or anything, really. It's just a bunch of talking going on in here, and then I guess this climax at the end. But yeah, I don't know. It wasn't as good as I hoped it would be. I loved, as I said, the middle of the book, and the beginning was great as well, but it didn't go anywhere for me. I still have the introduction to go through and the second introduction just on this book. Like, there's an introduction to all the Penguin horror stuff that they published in this edition, where there's also a little bit on The Haunting of Hill House, and then there's just a whole introduction on just this story alone. So yeah, I have to read that. Hopefully this makes it more exciting, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, it's a shame. I have to see the Netflix series still. I don't think I will be able to do that during this vlog, so yeah, I'll do that afterwards, I'm afraid. Would have been nice to compare book and adaptation, but yeah, can't do that, unfortunately, because I've heard great things about that, so maybe I'll enjoy that much more. But yeah, I read it now, read one more classic, so that's an achievement, I guess. And yeah, I'll see you after I've read the introduction stuff to wrap up the whole vlog. So currently reading the introduction, I'm almost done, and it talks a lot about just Shirley Jackson's life and how some things in her books or stories, as in The Haunting of Hill House, reflects things that have to do with her life, so that was really interesting. And then it also explains the first two sentences, I think, of the story, and I knew that they were important, but I didn't really understand them, so yeah, that helped as well. And now I'm in the section where it talks about, like, what is actually the horror of this book. So it talks about fear of guilt, the destruction of identity, and so on. So yeah, that's also very helpful. Doesn't change my opinion on the book because it's not something that I'm interested in horror novels personally, but it is very interesting. I just love to learn more about how stories are written and the meaning behind them. So yeah, super interesting. Next page, it also says a return to the womb that is also a grave, which I think is very fitting and makes more sense now. Okay, I'm done. I covered everything that I wanted to, so yeah, it was very helpful and insightful to read these introduction parts. So yeah, I'm really glad to have done that, and I do understand it more now. still like a 3-star book for me. But it's interesting now. It's just not something that I consider horror, but for others it might perfectly well be. And in that sense, it was well written for sure. Just not something that I think is very horrifying. So, yeah, I guess I'm done now because it's the night of the 30th of October and I want to upload this vlog before Halloween is over, so I don't think that I will be able to do anything else for this vlog. So I guess let's wrap it all up. So yeah, read all of these books. Very good amount of books, and if I were just to rank them again, I would say that Haunting of Hill House would be on the bottom. Not a bad book, 3 stars. After that, 3.5 stars for My Sister the Serial Killer. And then at 4 stars, we have What Moves the Dead. Very good book for sure. And then the best book by far at 4.5 stars out of 5, The Truth by Nick Cutter, which is just an amazing book. Love that. So yeah, that concludes the vlog. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you read any of these books and what you think about them. And I hope you have a happy Halloween. Whether you celebrate it or not, I hope you just have a good day. Happy reading, take care, and goodbye.